Welcome, representative of the Prime Minister of the Chechen Republic of Ичкерия, journalist and producer of Ичкерия News, and filmmaker. Please.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers and special to Senator Giulio Maria Terzi di Sanagata. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ukrainian, born in Georgia, and I am citizen of Chechen Republic of Ичкерия. In 1990, a Russian philosopher, Vladimir Solovyov, wrote about the fallacy Russian Orthodox Church perpetrated around Christianity in Russia. He writes that the Russian Church is misleading people and that followers of religion, for example, Diramalai, who worship the hole in the Izba, do their beliefs more justice. Their ritual being having drilled a hole in the wall of a hut in some dark corner, put their lips into it and repeat many times, "My Izba, my hole, save me." They reduced the object of worship to oversimplification, and they were widely insane, but at least they didn't mislead anyone. They said about hut, and rightly called the spot they drill in the wall just that, a hole. But the Russian Orthodox Church calls the doctrine of Christ a worldview and practices. They have nothing to do with Christianity. The deception is inexcusable, right, a Russian philosopher. And if today world has understood that the Russian Orthodox Church is a traditional anti-human organization of punitive bodies of special service Chekists supporting terrorism, massacres, and invasion wars with the concept of Russian people, citizen of Russian Federation, and of course the structure of the Russian Federation itself, there is a huge deception, misleading of world community. On 27th of November in Moscow, 25th World Russian People Council has started, devoted to the theme, the present and the future of Russian world. It was addressed by Putin and Patriarch Kirill, aka FSB officer Gundyaev. At this gathering, there was a shift in gears. A clear formulation has been established. Russia in an empire. Russia is not a nation, is not a nationality, is not an ethnos, not belonging to Orthodox religion, and not even an ideology. Russian is a worldview. Everyone who shares its worldview is Russian. Russia has always been an empire and will always be an empire. Never has Russian been a republic or federation, only an empire. You will ask, what about 1991? What about Boris Yeltsin, who proclaimed the Russian Federation a democratic republic? What about the statesmen of Russian liberals, who still claim that Russia was a democratic republic under Yeltsin? This is an inexcusable lie, misrepresentation. Putin and Gundyaev has finally reduced everything to a hut and a hole. They called things by their proper names. Yes, Russia for many centuries has been an empire and thus an entity that takes other people's lands, appropriates them, and destroys the peoples in the territories it conquers. Everything fell into place after this statement. And the question immediately arises, addressed to Russian liberals who claim that they built a beautiful democratic Russia in 1991, but Putin came and brought terror with him. Russian liberals have served the most disgusting role because they have misled both the Russian people and the international community. They did not call things by their proper names, like Putin. They didn't say, we have always been an empire and we remain an empire. They say to the West, we are democratic republic. To be a democratic republic was, however, hindered by the massacres they organized in the Caucasus from the first day of the creation of the Russian Federation in Georgia in 1991 and in Chechnya 1994. And thus, they prefer to simply lie. The first person who called things by their names directly called the Russian Federation an empire in December 1991 was the president of Independence Georgia, Zviad Gamsahurdia. Russia started a coup against Zviad and installed a protege, criminal and KGB general Eduard Shevardnadze. The unprecedented campaign of discrediting sold to the West is all on the conscience of Russian liberals. Unprecedented in their cruelty, gangs sponsored by Russia organized a real terror for us in Georgia. On 21st December will be 32 years since the beginning of the massacre in Tbilisi by the forces of the so-called Russian Federation. 31st December will mark exactly 30 years since the liquidation of our first president, Zviad Gamsahurdia. Friends, today on December 11th, 1994, the so-called Democratic Russian Federation launched a full-scale military war against the independent state of the Chechen Republic of Ичкерия. As a result of two fierce wars, the first of which the citizens of Chechen Republic won, a peace treaty was signed in the Kremlin between two independent states, the Russian Federation and the Chechen Republic. Thus, Russia recognized the independence of the Chechen Republic. But 3 years later, Russia attacked Chechnya with even greater ferocity and occupied its territory. If things were called by their proper names, that this was an imperial conquest and genocide of the Chechen people. After all, 300,000 civilians were killed. But it is on the conscience of Russian liberals. They didn't call this massacre an imperial conquest. Instead, they call it the establishment of constitutional order. And their state they called not an empire, but a democratic state. Just as the case of Georgia, Russian liberals didn't call Russia an empire when it staged a military coup in our country and occupied Abkhazia and Samachablo. But today Putin himself dispelled the fog. Russia has always been an empire and will always be an empire. And they will back the lands that once rightfully belonged to the Russian Empire, Putin promised. That means he has set out to take back the Baltic states, Poland and Finland. It means that the Soviet Empire would also recollect and remind itself of its socialist conquest in the lands of Czechoslovakia, Balkans, Bulgaria and Hungary. We only want our own back, Putin explains sincerely. He challenged the West. Here I have revealed my intentions to you. I am not making a mess. We are an empire. We have always done it because we are Russians. I have told you this openly. I'm not playing hide and seek with you. I'm not calling things by other names like Russian liberals. And now he's expecting an adult and coherent response from the West. Now the West will not be in a position to say that it misheard him. The ball is now in the Western court, acknowledge or pretend to play dumb. The West played dumb at the expense of the lives of Chechens, Georgians and Ukrainians. This is a separate issue to be addressed with the West and with Russian liberals who perpetrated this big scam on our lives. The West preferred to keep talking to Moscow while Moscow was killing our people. The West preferred to betray Zviad Gamsahurdia and Johar Dudayev. We are in pain, our wounds bleed, our dead look at us. The West didn't want to hear us, didn't want to help us, but now the West has been informed that on their doorstep is not a Christian country, but the hut with the hole, and it hides it no longer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, for your comments and also your historical perspectives. That is always very useful to refresh our mind.